Hey YouTuber, good morning, Robb. Guys, I've been thinking about doing a little road trip here in Florida. Take the old Moon River out for a spin, and was wanting to take some back roads. I thought I'd look up on the internet and the library, see what they had, and I got out these 3 books on Florida. If you're a tourist or if you're a resident and you want to take some trips, and we're thinking about some books that might help you to find some less populated, congested back roads to take here in Florida, or some interesting places, destinations. These 3 books might be handy. I'm going to go over each one and which one I think is the best. This first one is by Zain Deane. This is Cathy Salustri, and this is by Paul Franklin and Nancy Mikula, Backroads of Florida. This is also Backroads of Paradise, which is a similar theme, and this is Backroads and Byways of Florida by Zain Deane. This particular book is 2009. The others are 2016. Zain's book, Zain Deane, it's kind of like a travelogue. You don't have but very few photographs, and there's only 1 or 2 maps showing the routes. The descriptions of the places are very brief, but there's a ton of places and information in the book with a lot of contact information, phone numbers, addresses, and websites. He doesn't go into very much detail about each place, but he goes over quite a few places, so he's limited to the amount of space he has for the information. But I get the feeling that this book could have been written by someone who never visited Florida, who just researched the information. It's not a bad book. If you're a tourist and you want to go to the tourist places, or I think this would be an excellent book to start with. But it's not my favorite of the 3. The next book, let's start with this one. The next book is pretty much like a coffee table book. There's a lot of magnificent photographs and illustrations in the book. It goes over a lot fewer places than Zane's book. They're basically kind of, years ago, the Florida main roads, they got bypassed when the interstates came, so now the main roads are kind of the back roads. So you have this book going over some of the trips you can take on some of the back roads in different parts of the state. There's a lot more information because there are fewer sites and roads mentioned. You go into more detail, and excellent photographs. However, none of the trips have like little maps to indicate where the roads go, which I found was a negative. Also, you get the feeling that this person knows a lot about the subject, but I don't necessarily feel that they actually took trips on these roads. Not that there's anything that's inaccurate, I just don't have the feel or flavor of any credibility as someone who went on all these roads. But it's a well-written book. This is one of the few maps. But I mean, I guess like this does show the routes, so it is better than Zane's book, but it's not like in front of each route. So I have to give this a better grade than I thought. I thought there was just 1 or 2 maps for the individual route that they were talking about. There's several routes on each map, so I feel better about this book now than I did earlier, because I had looked at one of the earlier maps and I just saw 1 route. I was assuming all the maps were the same, but it's not a bad book. Actually, it's, I think, second, maybe even a 3rd edition by now. This is 2016. It's a very popular book. The last one is the one I think is my favorite. It doesn't have, I don't think, a single photograph in it. There are, however, little maps in front of each chapter for each road, and the cool thing about this book is the author actually drove 5,000 miles throughout Florida going on each one of these trips. Each one of these roads. And to make it even better, Miss Salustri, I don't know if I'm pronouncing her name right, is an extraordinarily good writer. I think the writing is superb. I'm looking forward to actually reading more of her works. The like I said, it doesn't have any photographs, and you don't have a lot of trips, but I guess the only negative about her book is after reading some of the trips she took, you may feel like, why bother? Because she goes into so much detail about her experiences. She took the trip for you. It's a very well written book, and it comes across as a person who dearly loves not only Florida but the people who live in it. And as a Florida native, I really appreciate that. So those are my reviews of the 3 books and which one I like the best, and for reasons. I'll leave a link to these on Amazon. You can check the reviews, what other people said about them. And I'm going to be doing some more book reviews. I kind of enjoy this. And I hope you get out there and see some of Florida before it all goes away. Oh, that's something, last thing I want to say. If you do decide to go anywhere on any of these trips and you think there's a certain thing you want to go at a destination, you want to be darn sure it's still there, because things are happening so quickly now and changing. I was going to go down to Miami, where I'm from, and do some video of the Legion there on the bay that has been there for like 100 years. And it was built out of coral rock. One of the houses I grew up in was built out of coral rock, or Miami oolite and limestone, and very rare, unusual. I thought it'd be fun to do a video, and I just happened to check on the internet, and things been torn down, and they're building a condo on the Union, on the little Legion Hall there on the bay. It kind of sucks. So if you go anywhere, make sure it's still there before you go. All right, guys, see you out there.